Hi, I'm Marcia Mallory. I write for earthfacts.com. Sometimes a creationist will ask, how can humans have descended from apes when there are still apes on Earth? Humans descended from apes, but those apes are no longer alive today. They're not the apes that you see in zoos, like orangutans and gorillas. In fact, we are apes ourselves. Let's start from the beginning. We can all agree that humans are mammals. The first mammals appeared on Earth between 200 and 250 million years ago. Between about 65 and 85 million years ago, a kind of mammal known as a primate appeared. This mammal lived in trees, had hands that could be used to grasp things, and had nails on its fingers and toes. It had a brain that was relatively large to compare to its body size. It could see colors, and it could see in 3 dimensions. Over a long time, this primate's descendants evolved in 2 directions as they adapted to different environments. Eventually, 2 different types of primates came into existence. One of the things that distinguished these 2 was the kind of noses they had. One type had a wet nose, like a dog. The descendants of this primate became the lemurs, the lorises, and some other related animals. The other type of primate had a dry nose. It also had a larger brain in comparison to the wet-nosed primate. The dry-nosed primate also had descendants that developed new characteristics as they adapted to their different environments. And eventually, there were 2 different kinds of dry-nosed primates. One of these was the tarsier, and the other was the monkey. Originally, all monkeys lived in Asia and Africa. Then some of them traveled all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to Central and South America. You might want to know how they did it. The Atlantic Ocean wasn't always as wide as it is now. The continental plates on both sides of the Atlantic are spreading apart, and they have been for a long time. The plates are still moving, and the Atlantic is getting about an inch wider every year. So when these monkeys traveled across the Atlantic, the ocean was much narrower then than it is now. We think they crossed the ocean by traveling on islands that were made of floating vegetation. Living so far apart from each other and having to adapt to such different environments, these 2 groups of monkeys, the monkeys in Central and South America, and the monkeys that stayed in Asia and Africa, developed very different characteristics. By about between 30 and 40 million years ago, there were 2 very distinct kinds of monkeys. The monkeys in the Americas became known as New World monkeys, and the monkeys in Africa and Asia became known as Old World monkeys. All New World monkeys spend most of their time in trees. They have prehensile tails that they can use for grasping onto branches. Old World monkeys are usually larger than New World monkeys. Unlike New World monkeys, which are almost always in trees, some Old World monkeys live in trees and others live on the ground. Old World monkeys also don't have prehensile tails. However, Old World monkeys developed something that New World monkeys don't have: ischial callosities. These are pads on the buttocks that allow Old World monkeys to sit on the ground or on large branches. New World monkeys that are alive today include howler monkeys, spider monkeys, capuchin monkeys, and squirrel monkeys. Old World monkeys that are alive today include macaques, mandrills, and baboons. If you've ever been to the zoo and seen these 2 types of monkeys, you can probably recognize the difference between them. The New World monkeys are smaller and spend a lot of time swinging in trees. The Old World monkeys are bigger, and you can often see them sitting down. About 20 to 25 million years ago, a new kind of Old World monkey appeared. This was the ape. As you can tell by visiting a zoo, this does not mean that all the other Old World monkeys died out. The ape didn't have a tail, and it had a larger brain, relative to its body size, than the other Old World monkeys. The descendants of the first ape also evolved to have different characteristics in response to their different environments, and between about 50 million and 18 million years ago, a new type of ape appeared. This was the gibbon. Meanwhile, the other apes developed differently. They were larger than the gibbon, and they lost their ischial callosities. Gibbons became known as lesser apes, and the other apes became known as great apes. The first new type of great ape to appear, that is still alive today, is the orangutan, which appeared on Earth for the first time about 14 million years ago. Then, between about 7 and 9 million years ago, the gorilla appeared. After this, another great ape appeared. This great ape was the ancestor of chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans. So chimpanzees and bonobos are actually more closely related to human beings than they are to gorillas and orangutans. This means that if a chimpanzee or a bonobo is an ape, then a human has to be an ape as well. We know this, by the way, by studying the DNA of all these animals. As always, the descendants of this great ape developed different characteristics as adaptations to their different environments. About 6 million years ago, the descendants of this great ape started to diverge into two lines. Chimpanzees and bonobos emerged from one of these lines, humans emerged from the other line. Modern humans didn't appear right away. We had a number of later ancestors, such as Australopithecus, Homo erectus, and Homo habilis. After modern humans arrived on Earth, about 200,000 years ago, we shared the planet for a while with other descendants of these same ancestors, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo floresiensis. We may even have interbred with them. Apes and monkeys didn't turn into human beings. We're part of a group that includes apes, and we're part of a larger group that includes monkeys. Now, Darwin wasn't the first person to recognize that there are strong physical similarities between humans and other great apes, and he wasn't the first to suggest that we were related in some way. He did, however, create the concept of natural selection. We all know that there are many behavioral similarities between humans and other great apes. We all live in complex social groups, we all use tools, we have the capacity for some degree of language, and we have culture. We teach others in our community ways of doing things that identify us as members of that community. For example, chimpanzees in different communities might use different tools for the same tasks. This suggests that all of these behaviors and capabilities might possibly have been held by a common ancestor of ours. So when creationists ask, how can we have evolved from apes when apes still exist, this is what you can tell them.